And we're at the famous City Ground, where Nottingham Forest have such a storied history, and they're hoping to write another chapter this season. They may well qualify for the Champions League. They're third in the Premier League, and they have a chance to get into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Good ball down the left-hand side, well watched by Palmer, whose starting position was excellent. His anticipation was superb there.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and especially because you're right in terms of how high Ben Johnson is playing. Very much more so than Connor Townsend on the other end, and sometimes it's that asymmetric. It almost looks like a four at the back with how high Johnson is and Townsend tucking in. So sometimes Johnson's got a lot of work to do, and that's why Alex Palmer then with that ball down the Forest left-hand side has to be alert.
And one who's playing with a face mask has just bustled his way past Burgess, who recovered at the last moment to nudge it back to Wolfenden. Ball played upfield by Morsey, but won by Murillo's. Ball through the centre of the pitch almost catches out the advanced figure of Elanga more than anybody else, and Burgess reacted well, got it back to his goalkeeper Palmer, who inside the box takes it wide of the goal and then sends it long and out of play on this near side. Nuno Espirito Santo, who is a goalkeeper by trade, catches the ball, throws it back to Ola Aina, and he will launch it down the touchline. I did read that Ola Aina's contract runs out at the end of the season, and there was a couple of whispers that maybe his old club Chelsea might have a look at him.
The question is, who aren't Chelsea looking at? It's probably more to the point.
Right, I'll just take that dagger and pull it out. Well, after 6 minutes there was always a planned tribute to Sam Perkins, a cherished member of the Forest family, who sadly passed away after suffering at the age of 46 with the terrible illness, motor neurone disease. And the City Ground rises as one to pay tribute to a lost member of their support group. Ball on the halfway line with Ola Aina, out to Hudson-Odoi. He cuts in past Broadhead, runs forward, plays it down the right. Elanga's onside here. He's in a bit of space as well. He's got Yates on the edge of the penalty area. He's found him, but Yates couldn't sort his body out to volley the ball because Morsey came back and covered him, and it was cleared away by the Ipswich defence, but it was a good move. Yeah,
and it was really good though by Morsey in terms of putting that pressure on. Just does enough without making the foul.
Elanga into Yates, inside the Ipswich penalty area. Wide on the right is Hudson-Odoi. Gets it back, gives it to Ola Aina, who's going to strike it. Takes a deflection. Flicked on by Elanga into the path of Yates again. Yates down the right-hand side. Forest just starting to find a little bit of rhythm here. Aina onto Sangare. He takes it wide, sends it back into the right channel where it's collected by Hudson-Odoi. He just slows up the attack, runs at Broadhead, gets a 1-2 with Elanga, produces a cross, takes a deflection. And it goes off Connor Townsend and out for the first corner of the game. We play just over 8 minutes. You're listening to Talk Sport, and it's Nottingham Forest 0, Ipswich 0.
Elanga looks so bright. He looks really up for it. He's not stopped moving. He's always on his toes. He never gets caught on his heels, Elanga. Even though he's got so much speed, and you'd forgive him for maybe giving people a head start, but he's always aware of his surroundings, head on the swivel, wanting to get on the ball.
Corner kick to be taken from the near side. Elanga has the ball in the quadrant. He's got Hudson-Odoi right on the angle of the penalty area, but he goes towards the penalty spot, flicked on by Yates, who arrived but didn't get any purchase on the header. It goes out the other side. Morato will collect it, and it'll be sent back in from that far side by Moreno. In fact, he goes backwards to Aina, gets it back again, Moreno. He looks up and now he does launch it into the box. It's aimed towards Awonyi. It was missed by the defender. Comes back nicely. Lovely little touch by Murillo, and then played out towards the right-hand side by Elanga, who slams his cross into the first blue body and bounces out for a corner. I mean, there was a centre-half inside that 18-yard box that belongs to Nottingham Forest, who did a little swivel turn and an unbelievable trick to keep that attack going. He's Brazilian, no surprise.
Well, and the fact they've given him a massive contract tells you what you need to know.
Ball in towards the near post, headed by Awonyi, and it's steered behind. I think Sangare actually got the final touch on it, flying towards that near post, and it came through to Sangare, who angled the ball towards the far post, and it was a couple of inches wide of it.
Yeah, it was really close, and it's an acute angle because the way that Sangare has to come across and he's past the near post, so the way he has to almost contort himself as he's falling to the ground to get a touch on this and try and angle it towards the far post. Does ever so well, he's inches away.
I just wonder whether or not Awonyi could have got on the end of it, but he was just a bit too far behind it. It was coming in maybe almost half a second after the ball scooted past the post, but he was the closest to it. In Nottingham Forest, Garibaldi red, but that was a good header from Sangare, who has been out with a hamstring injury since August. He returned slowly over the last month or so, started at Exeter, assisted both goals. Good player, wants to play in the Champions League, and actually I think when he left PSV Eindhoven there was a few sort of raised eyebrows, but he'd been sold a dream about what Nottingham Forest were about. He heard about their history, knew what their vision was, and wanted to be a part of it. Very well thought of player. Here is Morsey on the halfway line in the blue shirt of Ipswich Town. Kieran McKenna does set them up to have a go at teams. They've scored in each of the last 6 matches, Ipswich Town. The last team to stop them scoring were Manchester City. And they do have a goal threat. They are much changed tonight though. And certainly Nottingham Forest look stronger on paper, and they've started stronger. We've played just over 10 minutes. They have a free kick, Ipswich, just right of centre, 10 yards in front of the centre circle.
Yeah, Forest certainly the better team in the opening exchanges, but they need to play more to their strengths at times. Ipswich, Hurston, Broadhead are up there, and you know if you can make it a bit of a fight scene with them two working off each other, you get a little bit of joy.
Connor Townsend standing over the free kick, but it's Johnson who elevates it deep towards the far post. There's a little bit of hesitancy there from the attempt of trying to play the ball for George Hurst, and it goes behind and is out for a goal kick. I think actually the offside flag was up anyway. That was the hesitancy from George Hurst at the far post. He was just a little bit worried about getting involved in it, and then when he did get involved in it, the flag went up, which is why he decided not to dive in the first place. And it remains 0-0. Ipswich did make a fast start in their last game away from home at Manchester United. They couldn't hold on. Forest prioritised sturdiness against Arsenal and certainly did their job. And they have had an excellent season, Forest. They currently having a little bit of a blip by their high standards. They are without a win in 3 games in 90 minutes. Here is Ilanga out to Hudson-Odoi on the right hand side. So they win the ball back in midfield. Yates centrally to Sangare, and then out to Murillo further on towards Alex Moreno on loan from Aston Villa. He cuts infield, then 10 yards in front of the halfway line, guides it back to Murillo, and then back to Morato, and then they're just controlling possession deep inside their own half.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson as well now, he's dropped right in. I don't know whether he's panicking.
Ball bent round towards the edge of the 6-yard box, where there was a little bit of panic going on by Luke Wolfenden, who had to decide to play the ball straight over the head of his own goalkeeper because he knew the keeper wasn't going to get there, and Ilanga had put on the afterburners and may have ended up being favourites, so he just took no chance and just shoved it out of play.
Yeah, and that's why they're panicking, because that long ball is working for Forest. And Ipswich now, they've dropped in a little bit deeper to try and assess it, but for me they've got to get better pressure initially on the ball through.
Here is the corner, taken over on that far side, whipped in by Ilanga towards the near post. It's a clutch of bodies, but it was a low, poor delivery which was easily dealt with by Morsey. Hoiked up over the halfway line and won back by Aina. And that was not the best of deliveries from Ilanga. If you're a centre-half coming up from the back and that's what you get served up with, you're a little bit furious, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Especially coming up all that way, and he's got a brilliant delivery. You've just seen one into Sangare as well. Has to do better with that one.
Given away in midfield, and Sangare has won it back. Ipswich on the back foot here because Hudson-Odoi is travelling down the right. He's got Yates just in front of him. He's just wandered into an offside position. He's aimed his ball towards Ilanga, headed away but only as far as Moreno struck it, and he's hit it wildly over the top of the crossbar. It was never really testing Alex Palmer, who raised his hand immediately and said that's safe, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right.
It's a warning sign now down that side. Alex Moreno is getting higher and higher, and I mentioned he's sort of now winning that battle against Ben Johnson. It's making Ben Johnson sit right in and just negating that threat from Ipswich, as well as obviously giving Forest a threat down the left hand side high up the pitch.
Chuanzebe picks it up just short of the halfway line for Ipswich Town. And defensively they are suspect, Ipswich. They've kept just 3 clean sheets all season, and none since they played Bristol Rovers in round 3. To say they're brittle at the back is a little bit of an understatement.